Musa and King Atlas spent days contemplating a plan that could work. Both knew that the Nightfall Pride was not as strong as before, having lost many of their members in the previous battle against Saber. They were clearly outnumbered and needed more lions to accompany them in this battle. It was the only way to reclaim their land. But there were no lions in the area, and what were the chances that any would join them, risking their lives for a cause they had no personal stake in? However, what if there were other lions like the Nightfall Pride, prides that had escaped and were now living somewhere else, scattered across the land? There was no way that Saber could have wiped out every single lion pride, and Musa believed there must be lions who had managed to survive. This was their hope, to find the lions who had escaped, unite them, and rally together to take back what had been stolen from all of them. And that's exactly what they did. Determined, Musa, together with King Atlas and the Nightfall Pride, roamed the land, hoping to find any lions who had escaped and were willing to fight Saber. To their surprise, they encountered lions no one knew were living in these harsh lands, raising their hopes. But sadly, most of the prides were skeptical. They were hesitant to help a stranger reclaim his home, fearing the risks involved. Yet among them, they found a brave group of lions who joined and were willing to help. Although they were happy, it wasn't enough. They needed more lions. So, they continued the search, unwilling to give up. They journeyed on, roaming day and night, weary and thirsty, but with hope in their hearts. They knew they needed more. One day, when they least expected it, they found themselves in a place that held memories they hadn't anticipated. There, standing before them, were the lions who had once lived in the Royal Crest Pride's territories. Even more surprising, the lions who had once been their enemies now stood together in shared hardship. These lions had escaped Saber's tyranny and sought refuge in distant lands, hoping to rebuild their lives and start over. When they saw Musa, they couldn't believe their eyes. Their faces lit up with happiness and surprise, feelings Musa had never expected from lions who had once been so skeptical of him. Now, they were filled with regret for what they had said and for their decision to support Saber. They realized the mistake they had made in voting for him, and the weight of their decision was clear. Their souls were broken by the loss of their loved ones and the home they had been forced to abandon. Musa realized in that moment that not only had he found allies, but he had also discovered those who shared his pain and his deep longing to restore the pride. Somehow, the lions felt braver with Musa by their side, and they clung to the hope that when Saber learned that Musa was alive, he might change. Perhaps Saber's transformation was a result of his grief over the loss of their father and brother. Or perhaps it would only grow worse. After all, Musa had always been the one destined to take the king's title, a title that had never been officially passed to Saber by King Aurelius. Logically, if Musa returned, he would rightfully reclaim his position as king, and Saber would not accept that easily. As they continued to talk, Musa learned horrifying stories about the land he once called home. With each gathering, a chilling sentiment echoed among the lions: Saber is the Mad King. There was no longer any doubt in Musa's heart. Saber was indeed the cause of everything that had gone wrong. The kingdom Musa had once known had fallen into chaos, and Saber's rule had become a nightmare from which no one seemed to awaken. After hearing all the horrific stories, Musa was filled with fear for his mother. He desperately asked every lion he encountered if they had heard anything about Queen Isolde, but no one could tell him where she was, or even if she was still alive. This uncertainty fueled his urgency to return home as quickly as possible, but he knew he couldn't afford to make any mistakes. The lives of all the lions who had placed their trust in him were at stake, and he couldn't bear the thought of their hopes being in vain. He had to be careful and wise, just as his father had always taught him. After weeks of planning and preparation, everyone was ready to face Saber. On the final night, as the camp settled into a tense silence, Musa gazed up at the sky, his heart heavy with worry. He prayed for his mother's safety and for the well-being of every lion who had joined him. Closing his eyes, he felt a gentle touch on his shoulder. When he opened his eyes, Nala sat beside him. She sensed the guilt Musa carried, knowing he blamed himself for the suffering under Saber's rule. Nala feared he wouldn't be able to bear it if his mother was gone. But despite all the doubts, she believed in him. She always had. Her presence brought the calm Musa needed, and her unwavering faith in him gave him strength. In that moment, he realized he wasn't alone. With Nala by his side and the support of those who trusted him, he felt ready to confront the darkness Saber had brought to their land. The next day arrived, and Musa could feel the weight of the moment as he looked out at the gathered lions. They were ready, but also filled with fear. Everyone knew the danger that awaited them, except Musa. He led the way with determination, though a knot of uncertainty lingered in his chest. The pride followed closely behind, their steps heavy with the gravity of the task ahead. They walked for hours through rugged terrain, navigating steep mountains and rolling hills. The landscape stretched before them, a tapestry of earthy browns and vibrant greens, with jagged rocky outcrops cutting into the clear blue sky. The journey was long and exhausting, and Musa remained focused, lost in his thoughts. As they moved forward, the weight of what he might find ahead loomed over him. He had already lost his father, and the thought of his mother possibly being gone as well was unbearable. But he pushed it aside, knowing he had to stay strong for those who depended on him. Pico, who once feared Nala, had grown to trust her, now sitting atop her back. He stayed close to Nala, who kept him safe and steady, her presence a comforting anchor in the storm of uncertainty. Musa suddenly stopped, prompting the entire pride to halt in their tracks. His eyes were filled with deep pain, the memories swirling vividly in his mind. He remembered the night he had run away, the very same path he now stood upon. He couldn't believe he was standing here, at the edge of the place he had once called home, a place he never thought he would return to. As he glanced towards the horizon, his heart ached at the sight of his former home nestled among the hills. The silhouette of the pride's territory loomed in the distance, stirring a whirlwind of emotions within him. He could hear the gentle sound of the river flowing nearby. In that moment, Musa felt the weight of his past pressing down on him. The memories of laughter shared with his family, the warmth of his mother's presence, and the sense of security they had once enjoyed flooded back to him. Musa took a deep breath and stepped forward, urging the others to follow him. As he walked into what was once his home, just beyond the beginning of the Royal Crest Pride territory, the pride came to a sudden halt. A collective gasp escaped their lips as they beheld the horrific scene before them. The land that had once thrived with life and laughter was now a desolate graveyard. Fallen lions lay scattered across the ground, their once majestic forms now reduced to lifeless remnants of battle. The stench of death hung heavy in the air, mingling with the bitter scent of smoke from the remnants of their former glory. Ruins of their homes stood as stark reminders of the violence that had unfolded. Broken rocks and scattered bones bore witness to the fierce struggle for survival, a testament to the desperation of those who had fought valiantly to escape Saber's tyranny. The cries of the fallen seemed to echo in the wind, each whisper telling a story of bravery, loss, and heartache. Musa's heart sank as he surveyed the devastation. The vibrant colors of their homeland had faded, replaced by a haunting landscape of destruction. This was no longer the kingdom he remembered. It was a stark reminder of the darkness that had consumed it. Anguish filled his chest as he realized the true cost of Saber's reign, igniting a fierce determination within him to reclaim their land and honor the memories of those who had suffered. After seeing everything, Musa now realized why Atlas and his whole pride had never wanted to return to this place. As the entire pride was occupied with the devastating view, out of nowhere, just when everyone least expected it, a group of lions leaped aggressively from the bushes, ambushing Musa. Atlas and the others immediately rushed to his aid, but to their surprise, their aggression quickly faded. The attacking lions halted as recognition swept across their faces, and tears welled up in their eyes.